Hello, Fitness Tech followers. Kevin Vada up here at Fitness Tech in Citrus Park, Odessa, right off Veterans Highway. And today I'm going to be kicking off a 4 or 5 part series on why stretching may not be working for you. Now, to start off that series, before I get into the nuts and bolts of it, which I'll do in the next video, I want to talk a little bit about what it is that stretching is looking to achieve, and then how muscle tissue actually responds to that stretch, or what is actually happening at the tissue level there when we do place a stretch on a muscle. Now, I understand there is quite a few different stretching modalities out there, so this may or may not apply to all of them. What is kind of the foundation and what does hold true for all of them is the makeup of the muscle itself. So traditionally through history, we've been taught that muscle is kind of like this stretchy thing. And I don't know that we were actually taught it's kind of like a stretchy thing, or we just use this word stretchy, which most of us associate with like a rubber band, like a stretchy thing. Like you pull it when it's tight, it gets longer, and then when we let it go, it comes back like that. Unfortunately, when it applies to muscle tissue, it couldn't be any different than that. And you think about it, I once heard an analogy given by one of my professors talking about precise movements, the precise movements that the human body is able to achieve. And if you can imagine trying to achieve these precise motions, whatever they are, with the things that control those motions being these elasticy, stretchy, kind of bouncy things. Because in all actuality, what is actually happening within that muscle? So with what makes up a muscle, you've got 2 layers of different filaments that kind of slide over each other. It's very much like an electromagnet. If those filaments are getting the signal from your nervous system to shorten, then that fiber kind of crawls over each other and the muscle gets shorter. If the nervous system is saying relax that muscle, then the filaments crawl the other direction and that muscle gets longer or relaxes. It's that lengthening, that uncrawling and the lengthening of the filaments that we perceive as a stretch. But again, we can let that stretch go and it's not going to go back to its original form unless the nervous system says, okay, get shortened again, and those filaments crawl over each other. So a muscle, contraction is going to be much more or much closer related to like these 2 bands sliding over each other. And if you can imagine, my hands are 2 different bones. When that muscle contracts and those filaments slide over each other, those bones get closer together. And when the nervous system says relax, those bones will get further away from each other. So all that being said, when we place a stretch on a muscle, let's say hamstring stretch, so laying on your back, bringing your leg all the way up till you feel that tension in the back of the leg or the calf, what's happening there is you are pulling on those filaments, those muscle fibers, to the degree that what's called the Golgi tendon is perceiving that pressure, that tension to be a problem. And once that problem is there for long enough, the body will say, we don't like this amount of tension there. We're going to uncouple that muscle, and it lets that tissue lengthen. Again, not a stretch, it's lengthening, okay? Now, the problem with that, in order for that lengthening to occur, there has to be some form of neurological inhibition that is then shutting that tightened muscle off. So you may achieve more range of motion, but you're not actually achieving the individual's ability to actually move themselves into that position. So for example, I could have somebody stretch my hamstring, but after they're done stretching, even if that range of motion increases, I then no longer have the power to move my leg into that increased range of motion, which can cause all kinds of problems. So through this series, we're going to kind of talk about the different things and why your tightness persists, why stretching may not work in that particular scenario, and what could be the underlying cause. So I'm going to launch this probably tomorrow. If you have questions or you have things that you want me to touch on as I go through the series, please reach out and I'd love to include them or answer your questions in chat. Have a great day.